The night was bare, the air sharp with winter's bite, and the city of Pittsburgh slept beneath a blanket of silence. It was December of the year when the Steel Empire reigned supreme, and nothing stirred on Fifth Avenue except the wind brushing against stone walls. In a grand residence that towered over the city like a fortress carved from ambition, a man named Cornelius descended the staircase of his mansion with boots echoing against the marble. His eyes, cold as iron, paused at a sight that would haunt his mind forever. Laid upon the rug woven from distant lands was the emerald gown of his wife, still carrying the warmth of a body no longer within it. The doors were locked, windows sealed, and the servants had seen nothing. Evangelene, his young bride, had vanished, as if the walls had swallowed her whole. No forced entry, no shattered glass, no evidence of escape. Just absence and the haunting scent of lavender that lingered in the air. This vanishing was no simple tragedy. It was the final moment in a quiet war that had been building for years, wrapped in lies, betrayal, and the machinery of power. The city above which this mansion rose was no stranger to smoke and flame. In its factories, men burned their youth for wages that could not buy rest. And in its parlors, fortunes were exchanged like whispers in a ballroom. Cornelius was the builder of that empire. He had come from soot and sweat, forged himself in fire, and now ruled over the steel that lined the bones of the land. Evangelene had been the jewel he wore, not for love, but for legitimacy. She was grace and lineage, the daughter of a banker who had once stood among the Northeast's elite. She brought him connections, access, doors that gold alone could not open. But she also brought questions and a conscience sharpened by education and sorrow. As weeks passed in that mansion, those who served them noticed a change. Evangelene no longer danced in sunlight or laughed among the flowers. She walked alone, her eyes distant, her journal never far from reach. She explored libraries with purpose, touched books with reverence, and asked questions of laborers with the curiosity of someone building a secret. Behind her silence, she was gathering threads that led to places darker than the deepest shafts of the coal mines beneath the city. She traced accidents that bore the marks of intention, fires that began without spark, explosions that followed refusals to sell. She followed the trail that ended not in ashes, but in acquisitions. Her husband had not only built an empire, he had cleared his path with blood. Cornelius did not kill with his own hands. He arranged. He whispered. He paid, and those who stood in his way vanished. Her father had died, the papers said by his own hand. But Evangelene knew his heart. She knew he had been close to uncovering fraud, manipulation, a consortium of men who twisted markets and lives alike. She feared the truth and chased it anyway. The household lived in ritual, meals at fixed hours, footsteps known by sound alone. So when Evangelene appeared at dinner wearing a gown meant for celebration, yet no guests were expected, Margaret the housekeeper felt a knot form in her chest. Evangelene smiled, but it was a farewell. Her words to Margaret were of gratitude, her embrace filled with finality. She wore a locket unknown to any servant, silver with markings that whispered of ancient isles. She said it carried something precious. She did not say what. That night, Thomas the groundskeeper saw her shadow in the study, her hand moving across paper like a storm carving truth into permanence. He could not hear her thoughts, but her posture spoke of urgency. Below, the snow fell unbroken, the ground wrapped in white silence. No footsteps led away. No carriage had approached. The next morning, her gown lay waiting in the foyer. A note. Beside it bore 4 words, "The truth must survive." Her ring rested nearby, but the silver locket was gone. Cornelius did not shout. He did not weep. He stood, gaze locked to the place where her warmth still lingered. His first act was not to call for help, but to summon his private aid. His second was to remove her writings from the study. He did not search, he erased. The doctor came and left with a silence that held more than diagnosis. Outside, near the ice house long abandoned, Thomas found stains beneath the snow, dark and dried, hidden yet refusing to fade. He was told to leave that place, its walls now declared unsafe. But he had walked those grounds for decades and knew false danger when he heard it. Detective Crawford arrived, with resolve carved by years of facing corruption. He questioned, he listened, and soon learned of visitors who came in shadow and spoke in hushed tones. Well-dressed men with eyes like frost, who knew too much and spoke too little. The study had been her refuge. Its walls had secrets tucked behind spines of books. She had gathered names, dates, maps, accidents that followed refusal, bankruptcies that were blessings for the buyer. And always, always, the name Vandermark was near. Her family had been undone with speed that defied misfortune. Her father had tried to fight back, and then he was gone. Her brother had vanished, believed westward, but records dissolved. Letters between Evangelene and one signed E.H. spoke of danger, of a circle that crushed dissent beneath profit, and of a plan. Crawford followed the trail to a cottage hidden in distance, where shutters were strong and walls too thick for mere shelter. Inside were charts, letters, and photographs. Proof not only of death, but of design. Names etched in ink, tied by lines that crossed state borders and bled into capitals. They controlled rail, steel, coal, paper, and men. The group Evangelene, called the Circle, had hands in every corner of the Republic. In that place, Crawford found truth too sharp for the law to hold. Then came the silence. Witnesses forgot what they had seen. Letters vanished. Shadows lingered near his home. And then, one morning, Crawford was dead, his notes gone, his silence purchased by poison that mimicked natural end. Years passed. Cornelius rose higher. His sorrow was paraded in public, his mansion a shrine to lost love. But he never wed again. Some said his heart was broken. Others said it had been bought and spent long ago. In time, the mansion was sold, its halls echoing with laughter not its own. Then came the men with tools and blueprints, tearing down past to build anew. Behind the library's paneled wall, they found a room not marked on any plan. Within, the air was stale but dry. A desk, shelves, hundreds of pages. A skeleton dressed in what remained of green silk. Beside her, a journal bound in red. Her final words, carved with trembling hand, called for her brother to finish what she began. The Circle continues. Stop them. Justice for father. The locket. On her body held the face of a man long buried, and a line etched in love and sorrow. The room told her story. She had not fled. She had hidden, hoping to wait until the danger passed. But walls that protected became her prison. Scratches on stone, blood on brick, silence where screams were swallowed. Her end was slow, alone, surrounded by proof that would not breathe until time allowed. The journal spoke of a final confrontation. Her husband had come with men whose smiles were masks. He offered exile, erasure, quiet survival. She chose truth, and so she died. The evidence unleashed a storm. Names fell like rusted gates. Power crumbled. The Circle bled members who vanished into history's cracks. Reform followed, slow and unsure, but it came. The steel grew safer. Laws grew teeth. Papers dared to print again. And Evangelene became a name whispered not in sorrow, but in awe. Her fight had not been for revenge. It had been for memory, for justice to find breath beyond the grave. Her death broke a wall, and through its cracks came light. A woman silenced by stone now screamed. Through time. Her brother lived, hidden behind false names, carrying the burden she passed. He spoke when the world could hear, and those who listened remembered. This tale is not of ghosts. It is of courage, of the kind that walks into fire not to survive, but to leave a torch behind. So tell this story, share it. Speak her name, Evangelene, the one who vanished but never truly left. What do you believe hides behind the doors of power even now? Could others walk the same line she dared to cross? Write your thoughts. And if you seek more truths buried in shadows, follow us and let the next mystery unfold.